I wouldn't. Hey, Jim, moving a flag. So this is third party services at work right here. I got Jim Walsh, president, founder.
What's up?
Chief cook and bottle washer at Relo Solutions Group. How you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. How are you, Ben? Really happy to be with you today.
I am so blessed and fortunate to have you with me today. I feel like some of my best conversations that I may have even ever had, in conferences or whatever, have been with you.
I totally agree.
And it's cool because we talk on the phone sometimes, but when we're face to face, it's just a whole another level. So I'm so exuberant about being with you today.
Likewise, that conversation we had, I think back to that little Italian place in Chicago that we went, and that was a real conversation.
What conference was that for? Was that ERC or no? It was ERC.
Mm-hmm.
Was it ERC? Yeah, it was ERC, and we went off. We went to a little place in Chicago, and we sat and we talked about everything from our families to, maybe mistakes that we've made and things that we've learned. And, I think what drew me to you too, Jim, was that you were so open and you shared so readily. And, you met my openness because I'm a pretty open person, right? And you met my openness with openness, and we just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
We were peeling the onion for sure. And I think we're kindred spirits in that regard. It's that, not a lot to hide. And I'm willing to, if people ask, I'm going to give an answer. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a pretty transparent guy.
Well, and so we were talking about authenticity, because I think this is kind of like a lot of, authenticity is a really hot concept right now. But it's still surprising to me how few people can really grasp it or exercise it. But, we were talking about authenticity, and, how is your philosophy on authenticity, or how has that changed? How have you grown in that way?
It's really weird. I would say that, early in my career, I always was thinking I need to be someone else. So I would have these different personas, the father persona, the salesman persona, the business leader persona, whatever it is. And I would put on these personas, and it wasn't always entirely me. And all I can say is I got to a point in my life where I just said, I'm just going to be me, no matter where I am, with my family, at mass, at my office. I'm going to be just me. And it's so much easier. It's just easy to be completely legitimate.
Yeah. I struggle with that in my 20s. Hey, everybody, if you're joining now, we got some people coming in here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. Guys, you know the deal. I want you to leave your company, leave your location. I want to give you all a shout out, stand up, be recognized. I appreciate you so much. Also, go ahead and hit that like and applause button over there. Speaking of authenticity, I have to plug myself over here. But go ahead and do that, guys. I really appreciate that. Max Lowy, keep it going, brother. Janet Turner, love you, Janet. Hey, guys. Robert Vespa, I thought I was going to see Kathy. I'm signing off. Just kidding.
You're right. She's my better half. She would have been much better for this interview.
Yeah. I tried to book her. She was busy. Trevor Hughes, Jimmy, you're a good man.
Trevor, good to chat with you, man.
Yeah. Timothy Nowak, Perry Company, Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Hey, Tim, got him coming up in March. Looking forward to that as well. And then on Facebook, we've got Brian Crockett.
All right, Brian.
Sup, Walsh.
We'll see you in a month in Austin, Brian.
There you go. And then Kelly Guerin, hi, guys. Andy Lopez, sup, guys. Andy from Able Moving and Storage in Manassas. Hosea Botley, hello, guys. From Seattle, send me some rates. So whatever that's about, I don't know. That's just kidding. We got Mark Gray checking in from the Mover Search Group. We got Steve Weidekamp from CMSA in Los Angeles. Jonathan Farmer, hey Jim.
Jonathan, thank you for everything.
Free hugs apparently going on down there in Dallas. That's awesome.
I love it.
Golly, I've been paying for hugs this whole time. All right, awesome. But yeah, we were talking about authenticity, and it's like I went through a period early in my career, you know, like you were saying, like in my 20s, where I felt like in order to be a leader looked like this, you know, a leader looked like X, a leader did this, you know, he was by the book and he was firm and he was like, you know, tried super hard and no, you know, don't bring personal stuff into the office. And I'm just about, you know, being hard and stuff, you know, and it failed me miserably, you know. And I was just like, what's wrong? Like, how come people aren't responding to this? You know, the harder I beat them, like they don't run faster. What's wrong? Like this doesn't.
Beating will continue until morale improves.
Yeah, the morale just kept tanking, and then and I just was not finding success, you know. And I didn't realize it was like I just wasn't being a real person, you know. Yeah. And then when I started being a real person, like my whole career just blossomed, you know. Yeah. And so anyway, so I think of you, and I think, you know, you're somebody that does authenticity in a really, really well, you know. So
I certainly had a similar experience in my 20s and 30s. I remember one of my a couple people on my executive team called me and said, "We need to chat with you." And I was like, "Uh-oh!" I thought they were both quitting, and I said, "Hey, what's up, ladies?" And they said, "You scare everyone." And I'm like, "What?" They're saying you're so intense that you're scaring people. And I'm like, wow, I didn't see myself that way at all. It was great that they told me that, because I kind of like, I guess it was my body language or something. I don't know, but I try to be cognizant of that now.
Well, sometimes we care so much that we get so intense, and then it freaks people out, you know?
Right.
So anyway, so that's interesting to know. So one of the other things that I love talking to you about too, Jim, is, you know, you're an entrepreneur in the moving and relocation business. This is your second or third go around with entrepreneurship in this industry. Yeah. You built a very successful business and sold it. You know, what is it like building a business and exiting it? I mean, what does that even feel like? Because I mean, you know, I aspire to do that one day, right? So what is that like?
It was terrible. It was terrible. You know, it's funny. I remember being at one of the huge AMSA shows, and there's 60 something vendors there, and all these vendors, we'd all talk, you know, man, it'd be so nice if we could kind of sell our company to a larger company and just cash out and have the ability to have, you know, do whatever we want in life.
Right.
And I had an ability to do that, and I did it and was miserable, because life is about purpose. And I wasn't prepared with what the purpose was with my life for that next step. And I was, you know, 40 something years old, and all my friends are working, and I just didn't know what my purpose is. So I kind of went in a funk. And of course I never really stopped working. I did all kinds of other things with buying and selling homes and renovating homes.
Because after you sold your company, you took probably a 2-year timeout or something like that?
Yeah, about a little over a year, actually.
Yeah,
because after I sold it, I had to run it for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
So that was my penance.
So, but then you decide, okay, like obviously you didn't like not being in it, so you started Relo Solutions Group.
I did, yeah. So one of the things.
What was that thought process like? What made you do that?
I finally realized I wanted to work again, and I just wasn't sure what I would do. And so I kind of shared that with my family and my wife. And so I was thinking about all these ideas, and actually it was my youngest son, who had worked with me for 3 years, said, "Dad, I hope you get back into the kind of the similar business that you were in the past, because I loved working for you." And so at that point,
how old's your son?
He's 24, and this will be first public knowledge. He's coming to work for me in a month from now, actually. His name is Nicholas. He's our youngest.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to work with Nick, and that was one of my reasons to start the company. Is to, you know, my wife works in the business. My sister is one of our customer service teams, so we're very much a family business. And even, as you know, Tom Cannellan is vice president. He's one of my best friends, and he's basically family.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. You were asking me some questions earlier, and
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to kind of talk about it because I wanted to share it with people. So, do you have any questions for me?
No, let's go down with the questions we discussed earlier. Yeah.
Oh, we got to do those questions that we discussed earlier.
What I would like to know, I'll lead the dialogue here for a minute. Is so Ben, you're doing these broadcasts daily, and I've got to tell you, you must have it. It's got to be work, all right. It's got to be some work to do it.
Yeah.
But you've got such a it's my comment. You've got such a heart for giving, and I appreciate it. I think the industry needed this, and kudos to you. I think it's cool.
Well, thanks. And I think you have a similar heart, right? And I think that's where we connected on it. And for me, it's about trying to just give a lot more value than I take, right, from an equation, right? And I think that's kind of what a heart, like a servant heart, kind of is about, right? And some people ask me like, okay, well, Ben, are you getting any business out of this? And I'm like, surprisingly not. No, I'm not getting any business out of this. I mean, if people want to give me some business, hey, that's great, little plug, right? But no, I mean, I'm really not. I'm really doing it because I think there's a lot of voices that need a platform.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks who, I call it Love and Relo because it's really my friends, right? It's people that I care about. It's people that I think, like I'm going to have Janet Turner on Monday.
Love that.
Yeah, Janet's phenomenal, right? And, she's not the president of a company, but she has a story, know? And I think that those stories are things that we should be telling. And I think that there's, I think there's a lot of people that don't get to go out to conferences and have the kinds of conversations like we had at that restaurant in Chicago that night.
Absolutely.
But they still need some of that fellowship in their life.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in that community and stuff. So that's kind of what I wanted to create here. And, we talked a little bit about, fellowship and stuff. And we shared a little bit about our faith, and I was wondering if you would, share with me a little bit how maybe that informs the way that you do business,
Sure. For me, life is really at times stressful, right? So, people think, hey, business owner and all that stuff. But even now, at times it's really tough. And so just for me, just to kind of to take that and just internally or maybe even verbally just say, hey, it's not about me. It's about you, Lord. And take the helm here. You drive. Ultimately, you drive it anyway. And to kind of take that pressure off and just say, show me the path, And
it takes so much pressure off too, right? When you do that, right? When it's like, it's not about how smart I am, right? It's like, okay, there's a master plan here and let me just walk in that faith, right? Because so many times, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but so many times, like when I'm going through my life and I'm trying to do something audacious, right? And I always try to pressure myself to be uncomfortable and do something audacious, right? But sometimes I freak out. I'm just like, this is crazy. What the hell am I thinking right now? Like, I'm going to fail miserably, publicly, it's going to be bad, it's going to be really bad,
Right.
But sometimes you just got to give it up, to God and have faith,
So, I believe that the Lord.
Do you ever feel like that,
Totally. And, we all have these voices in our head, right? And one thing I've learned, that I think we all know this, just in human nature is, you've got that voice that's telling you you can't do it, right?
Oh my gosh.
Now for me, if that voice is saying Jim, you can't be in the NBA, well, that's a legitimate voice, right?
Right.
And that could probably never happen. That's probably a voice I should listen to, right? But if it's a normal task that someone's trying to achieve, whether it's that promotion or the job or starting something that is a realistic goal, and if you in your brain, if the voice is saying you can't, well, that's not Jesus, because he doesn't do that. That he's the Lord of abundance. So I didn't think
Yeah.
we'd come in here, but I got to tell you, you know, when individuals are hearing that negative, that you just know that's not the person you listen to.
Well, there's so much negative self-talk, you know, out there. And I feel like we all struggle with that, you
Sure.
know, and I sometimes feel like, you know, we talk about our competition, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, what are those guys doing? You know, whatever. But I feel like our biggest competition is internally with ourselves,
Definitely.
right? You
Yes.
know, I've got a few movers in
Right
Detroit,
between the ears.
but they got nothing on my like negative self-talk.
Yeah. Exactly.
How do you combat that though? Like, I mean, how do you like shut yourself down, you know?
For me, you know, I'm especially in the last couple of years, I'm getting back to my roots. So when I say my roots, like when I started my first company and I was like out of college, I was listening to Tony Robbins, right? And
Right.
so learn all these others. And if I was in a car, I would listen to them on tape. And for a little while, I got away from that. And right now, I'm back at it. So not necessarily, you know, Tony Robbins all the time, but it's things that are motivational. There's an amazing amount of content that is podcast content, including this, frankly, that people can gain an amazing amount of knowledge. And a lot of it is really inspirational, and it just gets your mind in the right spot, right place.
Dude, you're so right about that. Mindset is everything, right? And if you're charging up your mindset for that 30-minute commute or whatever into work, you know, you're gonna be so dynamic once you get there. I've done the same. Like sometimes I'll fall into the travel, start listening to music or whatever, and I will consciously say, okay, what kind of mindset is this putting me into, right? And actually, I'm going to share something, right? So I listen to a lot of hip hop music, right? It's like my jam, right? So that's what I grew up listening to, and I find that it gives me a lot of confidence, but it also makes me proud. And when I walk in that, I have problems. I have a lot of problems, right?
Really?
And, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Explain that more. What do you mean?
So for me, this is the way my life goes. I'm going to try to get on my little hand. Okay. All right. So I do something amazing, right? That's great. And then I get really excited about it, right? And then I get really proud of myself. And then something happens where I like precipitous crash, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, God, help me, you know what I mean? Whatever. I'm so, you know, I basically, you know, repent, ask for forgiveness, right? And then I'm coming back up and I'm getting, and then things are starting to click again because I'm walking in faith, you know, everything.
Sure.
And then I get real proud of myself, boom, boom, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just get smacked down all the time.
Yeah. I think we all can relate to that for sure.
And that's like a 24-hour cycle for me. That's all the time. Like I could have like a chemical imbalance. I don't know what's going on. But my point is that I have to guard my mindset because A, I have to stabilize so my highs aren't too high, my lows aren't too low.
Yeah.
B, I have to be cognizant of the fact that while I love hip hop music, a lot of it's like false bravado, right? Yeah. And so I have to be careful with that, right? And I have to be humble, right? So I'll put on something else that'll humble me, or I'll just go straight for, like you were saying, Tony Robbins. I don't do Tony Robbins, but I do a lot of Gary V. But even Gary V gets me a little hyped up.
I love Gary V, but yeah, I agree.
I was pumping Gary V, and then I went on stage in Lake Geneva and dropped 5 F-bombs in a 5-minute talk, right? So, I mean, I got to be careful, right? But that's my thing about mindset. Like, you have to be so careful because, you know, what we think about is then what we do, right? And so we have to guard our hearts. We have to guard our minds if we want to be successful, you know?
Right. We all heard perception is reality, right? So whatever you're focusing on, whatever you're perceiving in a routine manner, usually becomes your reality. So
yeah. So I started doing that. Do you do any books on tape? You doing like Audible or anything like that?
I do, but I haven't lately. Yeah. So I have the subscription. I'm getting charged for it, but I haven't done it lately.
Well, yeah. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. If you have an Audible subscription.
Yes.
Okay. So that means you get a book every month.
Yes.
Okay. And you haven't gotten a book in how many months?
Probably 7.
7 months. Okay. So that means you have 7 credits. This is a good thing. Okay. This is a blessing in disguise. Okay. Yeah. All right. So there's a couple books I want you to get. Okay. Here. And actually, I'm going to put them on the banner on the bottom here. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm writing them out for the people. Okay. So this is for you too. All right. All right. The Go Giver by Bob Berg is one. Okay. Take I'm going to put them on the bottom of the clicker here. Take the Stairs by Rory Vaden. Have you read Gary V's? Have you read Gary V's his book about? Oh gosh, now I'm blanking on it.
I have not.
Okay, it's he did jab jab hook, jab jab, like jab jab hook. He did the Thank You Economy. Like, what a great idea! What a great.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was the one he wrote about social? He wrote one about social. He wrote a follow-up one about social. Here, I'm just gonna put that up there. And it was so awesome. Boom, on the bottom. Those are the 3 books I would recommend people do. But the Go Giver, I'm going to talk about the Go Giver real quick because I got this idea, and I'm going to run this by you here.
Yep.
I've teased this one a little bit, right? And I'm sorry, this is supposed to be about you, so I apologize in advance.
This is way better.
All right, well, feel free to hop in at any time and just stop me, okay? Shut me down. But so the Go Giver was a book that was given to me by a guy named Jim, who was in a networking group that I was in, right? He's like, you're going to love this book. He took me to lunch. He bought me lunch. Already love this guy. He hands me this book, and he's like, read this book. And it was like a short book written in parable form, right, with 5 lessons and all this. But it was the Go Giver. And it's basically the premise of the book is, and I'm going to spoil it. Here it goes. But the premise of the book basically is that if you want to be hugely successful in life, you have to just be all about creating value for other people.
Sure.
It's kind of like what we talked about before, right?
I think you live in it, buddy.
Well, I'm trying.
Massive value, massive level of information that people can utilize.
Yeah, I'm trying, right? So what I want to do is I read this book and I'm like, yo, I love the idea of discussing ideas.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get together, we talk about people. We're like, oh, can you believe what they did or whatever? We talk about people. It's really not good, right? Yeah. But people who talk about ideas are extremely interesting people. Sure. So what if we talk about these ideas in these books? What if we do a book club idea discussion? What if we have people on, right? Yeah. Talking heads talking about the book, right? So I want to do that. I want a bunch of people to read this book, The Go Giver. Yeah. I want to have a few folks on to talk about it.
I love it.
And then the next day, I've already got the author, Bob Berg, who said he's going to come on also, talk about the book, answer questions.
Yeah, that's great.
That's what I want to do. Yeah,
I love it. And then maybe have a takeaway, right? So yeah. Where you guys put concepts about the book in this, where somebody can do a download and they can apply it to their life or their business really easily. Some 10 principles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's 5 principles in the book. They're like, apply this today. So we could even take a week and we could do 1 principle a day. And then on the 5th day, have the author on and people could share how they applied it in the comments. If you guys like that idea and you're watching this, let me know. Stop driving for a second. Let me know that you like this idea. Put a little comment. Okay. If you want to see your favorite books and your favorite authors, come on here and talk to us. That way I can point and say, see, people actually do care about this stuff. Get a lot of lurkers out there, So anyway, that was my idea, Jim.
I love the idea. It's great.
Do you ever do any book clubs where you discuss books or anything like that?
I just do I do a Bible study at
Bible study.
Church,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. But I love the idea. You got to do it.
What else, Jim? What else do you want to talk about, Jim?
What do I want to talk about? I don't really want this to be too much about me or my company. I just all this change in the industry is wild, right? So whether it's the military re-engineering or the fact that corporate moving is becoming so much more lump sum, movers are going out of business, they're struggling, and I guess the message I wanted to share with everyone is and it's very much related to what we've been talking about here is, if people perceive this is a scary, scary, crazy industry, which it frankly is, right? But if you just say, when there's change, when there's massive change and massive disruption, there's opportunities to serve. So I think all of us organizationally need to find opportunities to serve in this really tumultuous, crazy environment that we're in.
What does that mean, like opportunities to serve? Like, give me an example.
Okay, so let's say, for instance, you know, you're a very traditional corporate mover, university moving, for instance, where you've got 20 plus drivers that have been running the road for you for years, okay, and you've got really high quality and really loyal customers, but there's less. Those shipments are going down, so the weights are going down, and the driver
and the frequency of the shipments are going down.
And the frequency, right? We all know that mobility as a whole has been going down annually. So, I think for years, frankly, and I don't know this is the case of the university, but for years, the small shipments were ignored, right? I remember when I ran right out of college, I was working for an allied agent, and anything that was 4,000 pounds or less, whether it was one share or 4,000 pounds, we priced it at 4,000 pounds.
Right, 4,000 pound minimums. Yep.
Absolutely, and it's just really idiotic. It's not serving the customer. So I think the ability to, anytime there's an opportunity to serve, figure out a mechanism within your company to be of service. So it might be creating a new method to transport. It might be partnering with one of the companies that are in that space. But one of the things that we have up on the wall upstairs is we don't know, KNOW, the word no. Okay, so let's figure out how to.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to stop you right now, okay, and I'm going to give you a plug. Okay, because this is a real life story. This is not me shilling Relo Solutions Group. This is a real life story, and I think it's applicable. And I think there's a lesson in this, right? So Jim's over here, CEO of the company. We don't know no, which we don't KNOWNO, right? So we don't know the meaning of the word no. I had a shipment going to Mexico for a VIP transferee, and there was a a fridge with like an ice maker hookup to it, right? It needed to be hooked up to water, right? And it's going to somewhere outside of Monterrey or something. It wasn't like super, it wasn't Mexico City. It was kind of like, off the beaten path a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize this, but third-party services are only really prevalent in the United States. They're not really used widely in other countries. So I'm having this shipment going to Mexico, and this VIP needs their fridge hooked up to the water. And they go to their RMC client, who's my client, and they're like making a big deal about it. Like they really need it. And so therefore I'm making a big deal about it. And I'm calling around, and it was funny because this RMC utilized a different third-party services company. So I call them and I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? Let me talk to your supervisor. What do you mean you can't do that? Let me talk to your supervisor, and because I don't know the word no either, right? I mean, because we're wired the same way like that. And then I called, I'm not gonna lie, I probably called 3 other third-party services companies, and I called you guys, and you guys circled the wagons on it. You didn't offer that service, but you personally pushed back on your staff to find a solution. And I shit you not, Jim, the same day that I called you with that issue, you guys had a tech out there in BFE Monterrey, Mexico, connecting that fridge to the water. And I was just blown away by that because you made me look like a rock star. And I mean, when you
think about it, that shouldn't be hard, right? Because most of our organizations.
That's what I said. It shouldn't be hard,
right? But we all have the ability to get somebody quickly background checked, kind of instantly. So why would this be hard? It shouldn't.
I called every major third-party services company in the country that I was aware of, and I couldn't get it done. And I agree, it shouldn't be hard. It's a fridge. I'm sure they have fridges in Mexico. What is the problem?
Yeah, right.
At that point I was blown away, and I became a huge fan of you and Tom over there and Relo Solutions Group. And you guys have really Anyway, that meant a lot to me because my butt was on the line there. And then we have some affirmation here from Jamie Burton. Jim is the best guy ever. So there, it's official. We got a comment here. We got a couple questions. Let's see here. A couple shout outs here. Gotti Bennis, great to see you guys. Josh Barnes, hi all. Doug Powers, I think you're providing good content. I think thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. Janet Turner, sending love to Love and Relo. I can't see the icon buttons to push. Love you, Janet. Put your readers on, Janet. Find those buttons, huh? Janet, what will Nick's role be at? Oh, Janet asked, what will Nick's role be at Relo Solutions Group?
So that's a really great question. So ultimately, he's been I told him he can't come in right away. So he's been working in a sales capacity for the last 2 years, not in the moving industry. So graduated University of Tampa 2 years ago. So he's going to come in. Yeah, he's going to come in and he's going to be he's going to spend a week or two in each department, which is he's got experience in most of the departments already. So just to refresh how we do things organizationally. And then he's going to do sales support. So he's going to kind of be an assistant to Tom and I. And then he's going to have a managed territory. So Nick's going to be in sales.
Okay. What do you know what territory he's going to manage?
Probably the Southeast.
Good. I don't want to come into Detroit. I need Tommy Canoli in Detroit. All right.
Well, he's not taking over that.
Just kidding. I don't care. It's fine. I see enough of Tom. All right. Doug Powers asked, "Are you an RMC, Jim?"
We are not an RMC.
Why don't you tell the people what you do? Because I'm a terrible host. I totally omitted that part.
So what we do is, so in the relocation space, we do third-party services. So on-site crating, assembly, disassembly, light fixtures, fitness equipment, home theater systems. We're doing, if you go to our services page on the website, at folks.
I'm not pulling up your website, Jim. I'm not pulling up your website.
So anyway, it's we have some other verticals that we're providing services in. So retail, hospitality. If anybody needs disassembly, reassembly, in any capacity, we can help. We're doing some last mile stuff. So that's basically a small shipment. We're helping in that regard as well.
Yeah, you guys doing some of that fixture stuff too. I mean, let me, if I may, just as a client, full disclosure, I am a client. But I mean, I think really your niche is the responsiveness and the competitiveness. I mean, you guys work for the business. I mean, you earn the business. And I always tell people that they're not going to be beat whether it comes to service or price. I mean, you guys are phenomenal like that. So that's how I would categorize you.
Well, frankly, the barrier to entry in our space is pretty high. I mean, we've got a lot of competitors that have been in the space a long time. And they're legitimate companies, so we better be damn good. Otherwise, we're not going to be around. So I think the quality that's being delivered now is the highest it's ever been in our industry.
You know what's funny about that? So you talk about going into an industry that's full of some very stiff competition, and you're right. You got some very entrenched players, lifelong career salespeople with great relationships at these companies, at your competitors. And that just reminds me of like when I came to Michigan 3 years ago, right?
Uh-huh.
When I told people, "Oh, I'm going to university moving," first they were like, "Who?" And I was like, "No, they're a North American agent, mover of the year up in Detroit, great company, been around 50 years, whatever." "Oh, okay." They're like, "Detroit?" I'm like, "Whoa, you better watch out. There's some really good movers up in Detroit. You don't want to go to Detroit." And I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, all right, let's see what happens, And so I came up to Detroit, and I did my thing, and 2 years later, I was like the 7th best salesperson in the country, and I've been building my little book up here. But I love the competition.
Sure.
Like, I love stiff. I feel like it makes us better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely true.
Yeah, for sure. And then once if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, right?
Yeah, and not just internally, mentally having that attitude of abundance, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you lose a job, to have that attitude of, hey, okay, what did that person do that was a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Is it, because it's very easy to say their price must have been cheaper, right?
Right.
Usually that's not the case. It can be at times.
It's not the case because your competitor's been winning business for a long time and it's not on price.
Absolutely. Usually they're better, right? They have a more persuasive approach.
It's very persuasive.
Yeah, whatever. There's usually a legitimate reason why people make decisions.
Sure. Well, a lot of it's relationship and a lot of it's trust.
Yes.
Like the story I just described, right? And so, I mean, and I always love competing on relationships and trust, personally.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kelly Gurin, love Gary V. Janet says, crushing it. Crushing it. Thank you, Janet.
That's it. Okay. I own it. I haven't read it yet.
So he wrote crush it, and then he wrote crushing it.
Yes.
Crushing it. Oh my gosh, Gary V. Dude, this guy is like a soothsayer. This guy called out in his book Crushing It, he called out a site called musical.ly. So it was like Musically.
Yeah.
And you're probably like, well, that's not a big deal. Well, Musically pivoted into TikTok, and TikTok is like bigger than Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he's obsessed with being on TikTok, even though it's like 14-year-old girls. And like, why are you on TikTok? And he's like, because one day they're going to need to buy wine, or one day they're going to need to move, or one day, and I want them to know who I am. Still don't know if I'm buying that, but get on TikTok, Jim.
Yeah, I guess so.
do some Bob Marley covers on TikTok. All right, here we go. Roy Ramirez, hello everyone. Hey Roy. Right on, Bob Bird. Yep. James Walker, how do you generate leads and close business?
So I'll tell you what we traditionally have done and kind of what we're doing moving forward. So traditionally it's been attending conventions, right? So just it's the moving industry is still very much a relationship business, and we talked about this earlier, and it's one of the things I think we all love about it. So many industries are not, but I think the moving industry certainly is. And so it's going to a lot of shows. I think Tom Cannellan and myself went to, I don't know, must have been 10 or 15 conventions or sales trips this fall. It nearly broke me, frankly. It was so hard.
Financially and physically, probably.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it was like one convention, literally like no nights home. It was.
Are there too many conferences?
Yeah, I think there kind of are. As
you look back on the T&E spend from last year.
Scary. Yeah, scary.
Well, seriously though, you got the Worldwide ERC does 2 a year. You got AMSA does 1. Now they do a safety. Now they do independent movers. So they got like 3. You got Southwest movers. You got CMSA. You got every state has a moving and warehousemen's association, including Michigan. And then you got all the regional relocation councils have. You got Midwest Relocation Council coming up. You've got Great Lakes Relocation Council coming up. You got BAM. You've got, oh my gosh. You got the Atlas Convention. You got the Serva Convention. You got the Unigroup Convention.
Wheaton Beacon's national, right?
And then you got all the RMCs having their conferences. So you're down in Puerto Rico. You're in Vegas. You're in Chicago. You're in.
Sure. So we did a lot of conventions. We'll continue to do that. And now we're doing a little bit of online marketing as well. So I think that's working out really well, just to create more awareness.
Well, you said something about being a relationship business. I want to stop you because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And I find it very interesting. When people say, oh, well, this is a relationship business. This industry is a relationship business. Mm-hmm. Every business is a relationship business. Mm-hmm. Every business is a relationship business, because at the end of the day, we're people and we are doing business with other people.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, every single business is a relationship business. So if you're watching this and you're not consciously thinking about how do you develop your EQ, your emotional intelligence, and how do you connect with people, and using social media. I hate the word social media. It's like media at this point, right? I mean, it's like how am I leveraging media in order to relate to other people? You're totally missing the boat. I see people out there who are spending $5,000 to go to a conference, get a booth, stand there, get 30 business cards, and get 0 business from it, when you could go on a platform like this, do a video, have 33 people logged in live on LinkedIn, get 1,000 views after the fact, have another 15 on Facebook. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
And so I think we have to look at it and say, how are we relating to people? How often are we touching people? And what, and then the thing we kind of started with, how deeply are we going?
Yeah.
You know, I think we miss the boat sometimes when we go to these conferences. What's the first thing? Okay, you go to a conference, you see somebody you haven't seen for a while. First thing you say to them is, what do you say?
What's up? How's things?
What's up? How's things? Good. How's things with you?
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Yeah. And then there's the awkward silence, right?
When did you get in? When did you get in?
I suck, you know, these years.
I got in today, yesterday. Who cares when you get in?
Yeah.
How's the flight? I don't care. I didn't crash.
Conversations, right?
Yeah, like, can we get to the point? Can we talk about each other's families, about each other's whys, about each other's purpose, about each other's, you know, what are you scared of? What keeps you up? What are you thrilled about? What gets you jazzed? I mean, can we talk about things that are like real people stuff?
Yeah.
Why, Jim, real question, not rhetorical. Why do we not do that? Why do you think we don't do that?
I think like human nature, we all become ingrained with what is habit, and it just really creating that awareness just to not do that is all that needs to happen. I mean, it's so illogical not to behave and ask more intelligent, open-ended questions, things that people will actually care about and respond to. But I think we become like robots, and
we go through the motions, right? So we do that little like 8-line exchange, shake hands, and then we're like, hey, Sally, how are you? How's the flight? When'd you get in? How's business? Things good? Oh, things are great. Yeah, no complaints, you know, living the dream. Like, living the dream? Shoot me now. Living the dream. I hate when people say living the dream.
Yeah, I can promise you, I'm going to have much better questions at my next convention.
Ask me what color my underwear is. I don't care. Ask me something that engages the frontal cortex of my brain.
I just get a bad visual right there.
That's cool. Let's talk about that. Let's unpack that a little bit. Okay. I guarantee you that's a much more interesting conversation than what time did you get in and how was the flight.
For sure. Yes, absolutely.
So you were talking about going to conferences, right? So I'm going to give you let's talk about so you were telling me before you wanted to, what was the first time that we met that you recall?
So, Tom Cannellan had visited you in Michigan, and he said,
yes,
you're going to love this guy, Ben. And I said, oh yeah, I know of him. We haven't met yet. So then we're at, I think it was an ERC also. And Tom came up to, Tom and I were at the booth, and he said, hey, Ben's over there. Ben's over there. You got to meet this guy. You'll love this guy. So I walk up to Ben, and unfortunately, Ben, as is so often the case wherever you are, there's like a crowd around you. I'm like standing over to the side, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and trying not to interrupt. They're
not going anywhere. They're not going in. They're going to be there until 2 a.m.
Like, hey, it was really odd. I said, hey, man, we just shook hands. I said, I'll catch you later. That was it. That was
it?
Yeah.
That was it. Well, let me tell you. So Tom Cannellan comes to visit. Well, you had called on me several times back when in my previous job, in your previous role, when I was at Pack Rat, Forward Relocation, you were at Alliance, and you had called on me, and it was kind of like, I'll be in your neighborhood, whatever, and I kind of blew you off, whatever, because I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah, you're a big cheese.
No offense. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Anyway, and so anyway, sorry about that. But so ironic. People do that to me all the time, right? So anyway, so then Tom gives me the same, hey, I'll be in Detroit, whatever, and so we go have lunch over at Breakfast Club, right? And so we're sitting there. I remember this because I went to this nice little place, had a salad or whatever, and he starts telling me he's a cop. Or he used to be a cop. He was a cop in Westchester County, where I grew up.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, I used to hate cops because I was I was a terrible kid, you know. So I'm running from the cops. I'm like over here ducking the police. They're in these fake taxis, you know, driving around trying to look for us hooligans, you know, and stuff. And so I'm like predisposed to like not really like police officers, right? And so I'm like, so I tell him this, and he's like kind of taken aback because it's a weird thing to say, right? You know. And but we get past that, we laugh about it, you know, and everything. I'm like, you were probably chasing me when I was probably 18 years old, you know. And that was back when I was skinny and I could run. Now I'm on my best behavior because I can't run for anything. No, but anyway, and so we had a nice little lunch, whatever, you know, and talked about his kid, you know, TJ at Penn State who plays lacrosse.
Yep.
Really cool story. And so so then I saw him again at AMSA.
Yeah.
Down in Florida, and we were at the Updater party, which was a fantastic party, and there were rolling cigars, and it was just great. And Tom grabs me and takes me to the bar, you know, and he's like, "We're gonna do business one day, you know, and they're tequila, you know, whatever, and we're having them, and it was great." And I'm like, "This guy's super aggressive. I really like this guy, you know what I mean?" I like this guy. This guy was like, this guy wants my business. And I was like, I hope, you know, because I mean, honestly, as a salesperson, you want somebody to care about servicing your customers as much as you care about it.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, you want a partner that's going to go way above and beyond to make sure you're taken care of. And like I said before, I've always felt that way with you guys. You know, the passion and the engagement is there, you know.
I think organizationally, I mean, if you could unpack that a second, we should all think about every connection we have with a client and how we can do more, right? Whether that is, you know, a introductory call to a shipper and to introduce University Moving, and we're going to be managing your move, and just something more. Include a little bio on your move coordinator. I mean, and I think every organization, certainly we need to think about every interaction where we can make the customer go, "Wow, I didn't expect that."
Yes, that wow moment, I think is it, right? Because now you're engaging a different part of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of like engage a different part of the brain, engage a different part of the heart, you know? It's like, wow means like, whoa, you caught me off guard there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a key reaction. If you can get that reaction, now you set yourself apart, you know? And I think our industry, the moving and storage, and to some degree, I think a lot of RMCs would agree with this. And I think people in your industry would agree with this as well. You know, we become commoditized. Yeah. Right. A third party service provider is a third party service provider. A mover is a mover. Right. I joke with people, my blue truck's better than his blue truck. Right. You know, an RMC doesn't even have any trucks. God knows how they're differentiated. Right. And so, you know, but that wow, that creating that wow emotion or that wow impulse, I think is huge. And it actually leads into Free Hugs Jonathan Farmer's question.
Yeah.
How do you see the future for third-party vendors like MCS? And if you recall, for everybody out there, MCS Creating Solutions is his company. So he's asking, how do you see the future for third-party vendors like MCS?
It's a great question, Jonathan. Thanks for asking it. And by the way, Jonathan is in that Dallas-Fort Worth area, does a great job and has for many, many years. So, you know, I think as an industry, we have to get away from what has been traditional methods of making money. So I'll just give you a couple kind of myopic ideas. So I had somebody that said, "Jim, we need something. You know, can you pack up this, you know, big piece of furniture and ship it, right?" And so, and this was not in Dallas area, but you know, so I called, not me, my team called the local provider that we utilize, and you know, they said, okay, you know, and our crate rate is X, and that's what, you know, we only build crates, right? And they're all, you know, custom made, and they're all one-way crates. I think it's idiotic. I think we need to start thinking different, and so actually, we're going to be introducing some new things into the industry to lower costs and hopefully allow for the industry to better serve our clients.
Are you able to talk about?
I don't really want to get into it yet because
Okay.
we're baking it up, but in the next 30 days or so, we'll. But Jonathan, I'll talk to you offline about this.
Well, so Jonathan, I'm going to answer that question too, even though you didn't say Ben, comma, how do you see the future for third-party vendors like MCS? Um, I think any of us out here who are saying, hey, we're commoditized, that is our sense that we are getting further away from the customer. And we become commoditized when the customer doesn't know who we are. We don't have a relationship with the customer.
Yeah.
And then they just that's what allows them to see us as just another whatever, whether it's a third-party vendor, third-party services company, mover, RMC, whatever, any kind of service provider. And so what I see is I see people that are going to be successful are going to be the people that are going to have access to the customers, and they're going to become the people that aggregate the business, right? And how do you go upstream? And you're seeing people in your space, Jim, Handy, I'm going to call them out, right? So I go to Walmart, I buy a TV, and there's this crafty little flyer right next to the TV says I can hang you for $150 or whatever. I'm like, it's sweet. That's an easy, it's a digestible price point. It's right there next to the TV. It's at the point of sale. And getting those tie-ins, whether they're physical on site at the point of sale in the retailer, or more often nowadays online and tying in with APIs and things like that. And how do you tie in? I think that's the way you got to do is you got to go further upstream. Otherwise, what I've seen is margins erode. The further away you get from the customer, the more steps and more hands and more people get wedged in between in the supply chain. The more money comes out, the less value that maybe you have, or the opportunity to articulate that value. And so for me, I'm always looking at like, how do I go further upstream? How do I differentiate myself? How do I control my story, my narrative?
Totally. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually have one that came to mind. I was talking with a third-party vendor in the Baltimore, D.C. Area yesterday. So this might be a good illustration. And he was psyched because he was reading the businesses that are opening. And it was a major fitness supply company that was opening a bunch of fitness centers. And so he called and found out like who the project manager was for the space. And then he got the phone number for who logistically was making the deliveries. And then he gave them a price to assemble all of this fitness equipment. So this is a guy that's hunting, right? So he's in the third party, creating third party space, but he recognizes that, hey, what we are is, we control a highly skilled service network in our niche market, and where else can we serve? And so he got, I think it was a $28,000 little contract that he can get done in, a couple days for these two stores.
Yeah.
So always hunt, man.
Yeah. Always hunt and always hone your value proposition. And as you're talking to customers, I was talking to a CEO of a company just today, and she was talking about how she was going around and actually talking to customers. And all the revelations she was receiving and all the insights that she was receiving. And I was joking with her. I was like, yeah, it's amazing what we can learn from our customers when we listen to them. But I think oftentimes we're trying to tell them what they want and we're not actually listening.
Yes.
And we're trying to tell them, oh, that's not possible. Oh, you don't understand. That's not the way this works. You don't understand. No, the transit times are this way because.
Yeah.
No, there's limitations. Oh, no, we don't take that off the wall. That's third-party service. It's too much liability. I think it's funny, to me, Jim, this Mexico problem that I described to you earlier was interesting for me because I didn't realize that the United States was the only country that really uses third-party services widespread.
Right.
I mean, is that factual?
It is generally. In the EU, they call it handyman services. So most movers in the European Union are very highly skilled, and it's like they're highly compensated also.
Well, and that's the funny thing, right? Because we're over here complaining about what we're getting paid as a moving industry and the fact that we can't recruit people for this kind of work because the pay's not there. And we look at our pay and our margins and everything eroding while our workforce also erodes, while our equipment also erodes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're carving off pieces of business that we used to do, auto shipping, third-party services, all these things, maid service, putting away service, re-removals, surveys. These are things that we all used to do as an industry that now we're carving off and outsourcing to specialists. I'm sorry, Joe, I'm going off on a tangent here, but what it is, we're commoditizing ourselves because we're basically carving off everything that makes us special and unique and allows us to charge more. So it's like we do it to ourselves, you know?
Right. So most corporate moves in Europe, they build in, they call it handyman service, and they usually have a dedicated crew that will, and normally those services are needed, 2 hours at origin, 2 hours, 4 hours at destination. And so it's kind of built into the moving services there.
You know what's funny too about Europe that I heard, and I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you could tell me. Do they take their cabinetry with them when they move? Have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
I heard that sometimes they take their cabinets. If we have anybody from Europe on here, sometimes we get some British guys checking in or some people from Netherlands. If you know the answer to this question, if they take their cabinetry with them, I'm going to spread this rumor until you dispel it in the comments. So go. I'm saying they take their cabinetry. We had a young lady from India that wanted us to actually detach. She wanted us to detach the island in her apartment and take it with her. Now, mind you, she was a renter. This is a structural piece of the apartment that she wanted.
I'm thinking she didn't pay the last couple of months rent either.
Yeah, that security deposit was gone. Jeff Shellberg, Ben, this is why Relo Solutions Group should always be your first call. Jim, you rock.
Oh, yeah, thank you, bro.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? That's got to feel good as a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff's an entrepreneur himself. My God, Jeff, I'm proud of you.
That's awesome. Janet Turner, Jim, will you be at SRRC?
I will. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's right after AMSA down at Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah. And if you need a ride, I'll drive you down there right from AMSA right to.
I might need a ride because I booked a plane ticket back.
Yeah.
So if I go to Fort Lauderdale, I don't know how I'm getting home. So if you could drive me down there and then drive me up to Detroit, that'd be super.
No, I got you.
I could probably load a shipment and get back that way. We'll see. Gotti Benes, Grable Inside Mobility. I think it's another conference he was talking about. James Walker, good to know. Any specific targets, corporate logistics, HR? James had a follow-up question from how do you generate leads and close business? So now he's really pulling back the curtain here. Any industry specific targets, corporate logistics, HR that he should go after for leads?
Is he referring to him or me?
I think he's asking how do you generate leads and close business, but I think he's asking for his personal use. Sure.
So corporate HR is always, that's important. So I don't know what his particular business is, but for us, we moving and storage companies are a large part of what we do, and then relocation management firms are a large part of what we do. From an awareness perspective, we like to create the awareness, like you said, upstream with the corporations about what we do. But usually our relationships are directed relationships through the RMCs or through the moving and storage companies.
Great. It looks like we've got confirmation from Danny Vandermeer. He said in Germany they do, and Paul Lekupka actually echoes that. Yes, in some locations you do take your cabinetry like Germany.
Yeah, because that would be a shrunk, right? So they're, wall units are basically shrunks there. So that would be their cabinetry.
So they're standalone. They're huge, but they're standalone.
Huge standalone. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Paul, by the way, you love them stateside because you can get a service crew there for 4 to 6 hours to put them back together.
I hear the carpentry is phenomenal over there in Germany.
Yeah, it really is.
Let's see here. Paula says TMI. I guess I was oversharing. My bad. Jamie Massler. Hi, Ben from South Haven, Mississippi. I think I'm going to have Jamie on one day. Joe Fick. Hi, Ben. I'm going to have Joe on also. Let's see. Danny Vandermeer, they take their kitchen, he says. They take their whole kitchen.
Wow.
Can you imagine that? And then you get to the next place, you're like, yeah, this configuration doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
This L-shaped countertop doesn't work. I don't understand how you would even.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
Crazy. Roy Ramirez says, when I was an indie mover, I realized I couldn't get by on just the move money. So I started branching out. I would tell the customer I do packing, picture hanging, small handyman jobs. I had a couple of women friends that offer cleaning services. Also, when contact the driver and tell him I would go a day earlier and do the inventory. So when he got there, we could just pad and load. You got to do everything nowadays to be successful.
This guy's an entrepreneur.
He really is.
No, the word no.
I love it. I love it. And he sees opportunity and everything. And that's the other thing. I think when we see difficult, we should see opportunity.
Sure.
Too often, especially in my business, which is so ironic because moving furniture is inherently difficult. And yet so many movers have a mindset when we see difficult, we think outsource it. And it's like, I see difficult, I'm like, oh, call Jim, Jim, I need you, buddy. I need you. This is too hard. This move's really hard. I need you. And it's like, but I mean, we got to be thinking of how do we add more value? One of the key things I'm seeing nowadays is so many people, I go in these homes, and especially people that are downsizing, and maybe they have a pool table they don't want anymore. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they have a sofa that they don't want anymore, or some children's furniture that they don't want anymore. Why aren't movers taking this stuff and almost like opening a consignment store,
right?
Or going on Facebook Marketplace and selling it for people? Remember those eBay stores back in the day?
Yes.
We're already in the home. We've already got the manpower to pull it out. We've already got the 80,000 square foot warehouse in the back. What if we just start selling the stuff on, like, make some money? You could charge people half of what the junk removal service would charge to take it away, because those places charge a fortune.
They do.
Charge them half of what it costs to move. Just charge them a nominal fee to take it, and then you sell it. I don't understand why we're not doing that. And you know how many moves you would book? You could do a consignment, say, I'll give you 30% of the proceeds or whatever, or 50% of the proceeds to put towards your move with me.
Mm-hmm. You're spot on. I completely agree. It's one of those scratch my head. I've been thinking that for years.
I'd book that in a second. Okay, well, you're gonna go sell my stuff for $500. It's less. Anyway, whatever. I'm ranting. But Jack Jampel says relationships. Let me tell you a story about Jack Jampel. You know Jack Jampel from Stryker?
I don't.
All right, Jack Jampel is a mini celebrity in this industry. Okay, I'm going to start telling on him over here. He's probably going to start commenting or something. Whatever, he's going to text me or something. But no, so Jack and I were on the ERC planning committee together for America's Mobility Conference, the spring conference. Right, this is probably 4 years ago in DC. Yep. Man, probably 3 years ago. Anyway, we go to this thing. We're in this room for 2 days. You kind of bond with people. We went out and we were networking that evening. And we were networking awful late, and he's basically schooling me, right? Jack's schooling me, as Jack does sometimes. He schools me, right? That's why I'm so smart. And so he's schooling me. He's like, what makes you different from the other movers? I'm like, well, we were the agent of the year in 2017, and we're a woman-owned business, and we've been around for 50 years, and our quality scores are phenomenal, and blah blah blah. He's like, I don't care about any of that crap, He's like, what makes you different? You. Yeah. He's like, the answer to this question is you. You make your company different. And I was like, okay, can I start over? He's like, yes. I was like, I make my company different. And I said to him, now can I have your business? He's like, get in line. There's like 15 guys. So I'm still waiting, Jack. I'm still waiting, buddy. Oh, so funny. Was you. So, okay. Perfect. Gotti says that from an insurance perspective, we prefer professionals like Jim's teams to handle the goods rather than have movers test their skills on it. No offense to the movers. Thank you, Gotti. Appreciate it. Oh, Joseph Fick says a Relo eBay. Yeah, Joe. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Jana Lee Lowenstein says networking. Winky face. I think she picked up on the entendre there. This is great. This is great. You got people saying, thanks for taking my questions. So we're adding some value here. Chuck Bailey says hello. Hey, Chuck Bailey. Yeah, love Chuck. Yeah, I love you. friend of the show. So any parting ideas or thoughts that you want to just leave with the audience, Jim?
I just want to say thank you. You know, I've been doing this since 1994. So, you know, I was in college working for an allied agent part-time, and then out of college worked for another local third party in New Jersey. Then we became a nationwide company, then started my own company. And now with this, with Relo, it's just, I got to tell you, I've made so many friends, and I love the people in this industry. So from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you.
Well, on behalf of the industry, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on board. Love working with your company. Look forward to watching what you guys do, and to continuing to grow our friendship and have some more of those conversations.
Likewise, my friend.
All right, brother. Take care.
Take care.